Flashpoint Beyond, issue 0. Jeff Johns writing, Eduardo Rizzo on the art. And this is a sequel to Flashpoint that no one asked for.
No one asked for, no one wanted, no one should want.
Let me just say, I'll get out my praise. Rizzo, I like the art. All right, it has some stuff. This story made me realize how much I did not like Flashpoint. And everything. Sure, there's some central mysteries going on here that I'm gonna keep checking out. Out of sheer curiosity. Talking to the person that has all of Flashpoint. I bought every tie-in, everything for
Matt,
Flashpoint.
you're just a sucker for DC events, no matter what.
Yeah. But like, this is the one that taught me not to do that anymore. And then being reminded of that through this, watching characters make the same mistakes, and this is almost just a retelling of Flashpoint in a single issue. And
now hold on a second.
It makes you wonder.
Hold on a second. There is one plot beat here that I am going to praise. So there's an interesting flip of the roles where Thomas Wayne's back in his universe and he's like, this isn't right. But this universe got erased, got fixed because of Barry and everything. I met Bruce. I know I shouldn't kill. Harvey Dent wants to arrest me because his wife committed suicide because of what Martha did as the Joker, blah, blah, blah. All that's playing out. Thomas goes to see Barry, but Barry here doesn't remember the original universe. This is just Barry from Flashpoint universe. He doesn't know that he was the Flash.
He's not the Flash, he's just a police scientist.
Thomas kidnaps him, straps him to a chair so he can give him speed powers, but then he gets struck by lightning and dies. He gets Barry killed.
Yeah, not just that, because someone interferes with it too.
I know there's some technicalities, but like it doesn't matter. The broad stroke of this is that he fries him in an electric chair with lightning because he's trying to turn him into the Flash. And I could sort of see it coming. It was kind of like, this is going to be just like a really darkly funny moment. And I appreciated the humor of that. Maybe it's because I got a sixth sense of humor. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it was meant to be that funny.
No.
It was funny to me.
I don't think it was. I think it was meant to be shocking, and we found it funny.
Yeah, I think it was. But that's the thing, because I also found it quite funny. But I think it was meant to be dramatic.
And so we all love Doomsday Clock.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Yeah,
awesome.
This is no Doomsday Clock.
Three Jokers, not so much.
No.
I'm starting to wonder if my former favorite writer still has it.
I'm past wondering. I know the answer.
Yeah, but you would say that, but Doomsday Clock still. Right?
I think he's lost it at DC.
Yeah.
I think Doomsday Clock was an exception.
Grand opus.
I don't.
Yeah, because I think he was on a downhill kind of decline before that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would necessarily say that he's lost it per se. It's just that, because I think if you gave him a proper ongoing book and if he had time to actually write it, if he wasn't working on a TV show, I think he would be fine. I think if you gave him a character that he cared about and said, go do a run for 50 issues, I think he'd go away and do it, and it would be a solid run. I think the problem
whatever
is
he's doing with Stargirl right now, right? That Spring Break special came out last year, and we're still kind of waiting for
the problem is that he's getting these weird, silly side things, and I think Doomsday Clock, while there was always a question of how much it was going to be adhered to in continuity and what they were going to do with it when it was done, it didn't matter when you were actually reading it because it still felt like the most important thing to us. It still felt like it was these ramifications. It still felt like it thematically tied everything in the DC universe together, even if the main books weren't really going to acknowledge it that much.
Yeah.
As I was reading this, it kind of felt like nothing is really going to acknowledge this, and by the time it's done, it might get a casual mention if Thomas Wayne shows back up during Dark Crisis or something like that. He'll say, I went on this little adventure, blah, blah, blah.
And that tells me because you have Jeremy Adams and who's the other writer going forward? It's Johns, Adams, and is it Thompson?
I think it might be Thompson.
Yeah. So I just feel like if it was gonna have we'd have bigger names, and I feel like Dark Crisis,
that's the other thing. The fact that he's probably just plotted it and then left, and the other writers are scripting it.
The bizarre thing to me is I don't know which way around this came from. Like, did they go, Hey Jeff, come do some more Flashpoint for us. Flashpoint's it's bordering on nostalgia. It's back in vogue.
If I was to guess, I would say that there's a plot beat by the end of this that they want to have set up for something in continuity, and they've said, hey, you can do some Flashpoint stuff. All you have to do is make sure you make this point by the end. And then John's just got to go wild. Probably something, because I mean, the implication from the bookend scenes of Batman with Mime Marionette and him being up to something, it kind of sounds like the Flashpoint universe comes back because of something Batman does, and then it's going to be up to Thomas to fix it in the Flashpoint universe to get it back to normal. That's, I mean, conceptually, I don't necessarily think that's a terrible idea. Mm-hmm. You know, in a vacuum, if you just say that to me, that's like, that's not bad. I don't know why Batman's doing this yet. His motivation is very unclear right now. Doesn't tell us, but
I will say I do love Mime Marionette here when she tells him to put the gun down. I just thought that was well done. But again, this Rizzo's art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
In fact, it was just reminding me how much I like Doomsday Clock more than it was anything else.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. And then the Flashpoint stuff made me realize how much I didn't like Flashpoint.
I liked Flashpoint at the time. I don't know if I like it now.
Yeah, even now. But again, I probably had fatigue because I read every single tie-in, like Deathstroke as a pirate, Ambush Bug in the UK.
I read a selection of the tie-ins, and a few of them were quite good. And I thought the main book was fine at the time, honestly. I didn't have too much of a problem with it. The problem with Flashpoint was just like at the end when it changed to New 52, it was like, oh, it's responsible for this now.
Which at the time we weren't, we were excited for.
We weren't to know at the time that we were going to hate the next 5 years, by and large.
So I just, this was rough for me. Just because, John's is still one of my guys. I still love his Flash. I still love him a lot.
I think the problem is there's a bit in this where it tries to tell us everything matters on a literal whiteboard. Like, here, everything matters.
Oh yeah, the Divine Continuum. Notice the initials there.
Yeah.
DC.
But also, following the murders right through the Flashpoint universe, and I'm starting to realize names. Right, and these are names that I recognize being a continuity nerd. Mm-hmm. And then so when we get that character who I'm not familiar with
at the end, I don't know these characters.
I get to the end, I went, oh, okay, that's okay,
the plot in the Flashpoint universe is that the Clockwork Killer's going around and replacing organs with gears. Kills Abracadabra. They don't know who he is. They just sort of joke about his name.
That is a full amazing horror book on its own.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's a fine concept on its own.
It reminded me of John's writing Murmur, right? Back in Flash. He has a tendency to write these type of things.
Are either of you particularly familiar with this group they're talking about, the Time?
Yeah, that's Rip Hunter's
time, isn't it?
No, but I mean specifically this character at the end who shows up.
No, that's who I'm looking up. I meant to look this up. So they talked about Matthew Ryder. That was Wave Rider. He was one of the ones he could, go through time, like kind of like a Silver Surfer-esque kind of character. And then there's the Doctor character, the PhD guy.
Yeah. So this young character at the end who shows up to Batman is Corky Baxter. Yeah.
What a name.
And references a Dr. Smith. I mean, is Dr. Smith like that character you're familiar with, the Time Masters?
Yeah. So I'm checking them all out right now. He was the one that was the PhD and stuff. I know him. I'm trying to find the right one. But yeah, so the Time Masters are a group of people, kind of. Rip Hunter is, I didn't realize this until becoming familiar with Doctor Who. Rip Hunter's just kind of the Doctor.
Yeah.
And he goes and plucks people through time to help.
Companions.
Well, not just companions, but they have to write certain things. And after 52 and Infinite Crisis, they started to tie Booster Gold in there. And in fact, Johns made Rip Hunter the son of Booster Gold. And that everything that Rip learned came from Booster. That once Booster got all of his stuff together, he did become a great hero in fixing the time stream, mostly because no one knows about breaking the time stream better than Booster Gold. So this Corky Baxter character, though, I was not familiar with very much. That's what's going to keep me coming back. So the one other Doctor that dies was Kronos, who was a time-traveling villain that, made trouble for the Time Masters. And then you also had Abracadabra, who's another time traveler, right? Who gets taken out, who's not a time master, but yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna keep coming back. Like again, like Connor said, I have a problem when it comes to events. And this is event adjacent.
It read.
I'm gonna keep reading it.
It read well enough. I'm a little concerned that I'm going to come back for issue 1, and because we've got these other writers' script in it, that it's going to be more clunky. And I mean, Adams has been doing fine on Flash. Don't get me wrong, but it's only he's only co-writing with the other dude, so I'm a little concerned about that. I will say, like, it's kind of like, if I was super into the book, this introduction of another corner of the DC universe that I'm not as familiar with would be like, oh, I'm curious about them now and how they're going to fit into this. But instead, when I got to the end and it was like, okay, we're doing this other like pool of these characters from the Time Masters, I was just kind of like, yeah, okay, so I don't really know much about them. And it's a really fine line to walk, where the difference between getting the reaction where I'm like, oh, who are these? I want to know a bit more about them. I need to go do some research. And the opposite reaction being, I don't really know who these are. Well, like, I guess I'm just not excited by this cliffhanger then. So it's kind of weird. I got a couple of chuckles out of the book. They might not have been intentional, but
yeah. So also, just real quick, the Time Masters disappeared at the end of Infinite, or at Crisis on Infinite Earths. So them popping back up now in the Flashpoint universe again plays very much into the John's, every crisis matters type deal.
You know how you guys feel about like multiverse stories right now, where you're just like sick of them, and you just like don't want any more. That's how I feel about this. Like, everything matters. It all has to tie together. There's a metaverse. There's a divine continuum now. I just don't care. It's too much. It's too much. I'm bored of it. I need a break. And it's a big problem for me, at least. I can't get over it.
Are you telling us that you're not reading issue 1?
Oh God, no! No, this I was miserable reading this.
I wouldn't say I was miserable. I was bummed out. But again, I can't help it.
Honestly, if I had more books this week, I wouldn't have read this. I mean, maybe I would have done that more with curiosity. There's Flashpoint and John's, but I was already just not interested in the subject. I just didn't have any enthusiasm for the book in general. But because I only had a couple of books, I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And yeah, let's say the big dramatic moment of them killing Barry kind of accidentally. Yeah, I'm laughing at it. That's awful. Like, this is not supposed to be funny. This is supposed to be a
big deal, because our tie to the multiverse is always a Flash, right? And Flashpoint is a world without a Flash. That's why it's the way that it is.
I mean, I'm not 100% convinced it's not at least meant to be a little darkly funny, because it kind of felt like it was
that full page is horrified.
Yeah,
like it's supposed to be horrific. That moment, not funny in the slightest. And the fact that we found it funny is poor storytelling.
I mean, I thought it was easy to read. Like, I don't think it was a short to read. I mean, I'll give it that.
Yeah. I just, again, some of the stuff from Flashpoint that I just, like, it was making me have memories. Like, when they brought up the Atlantean and Amazonian War, I was like, oh God, yeah. I forgot about that.
I'd kind of gratefully forgotten about Martha Joker.
Yeah. Well, no, because that was out of all of the minis, that one and the Project Superman were the two that stood out as kind of the best. But that's what happens when you have Azzarello and Rizzo.
And it's not that they're inherently bad ideas, but it's more just, we have to revisit this. I know, Pete, you're often sick at the minute of just franchises rebooting and just coming back because everything's got to have a name. That's kind of this with Flashpoint. We've got to have everything, and here's all the things that were Flashpointy just to make sure like, hey, here's Martha Joker. Like, here's all the things you liked. And that's just how I felt reading this. It felt corporate.
I mean, I can't really argue with that. I mean, I don't understand why this exists yet. Like I say, I'm assuming there's going to be a plot point by the end that they're going to get to with whatever the outcome of this is that feeds into either Dark Crisis or something related to Dark Crisis, and that's why it exists.
And Mime and Marionette being motivated by their kid, right? There's a thread from Doomsday Clock still.
Yeah. Unless this is purely something just John's wanted to do. But then if it is, it's weird that he left it to some co-writers after the first issue.
I don't understand.
Yo, if Eclipso shows up, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'll read the next issue. It was easy enough to read. Yeah. So I'll read the next one. But
I'm not upset I read it. It was just, it wasn't...
I'm here. I'm here for the bollocks at this point. I'm here just to see what nonsense they do.
Now, if this had the co-writers on it, I'd be probably a little bit more easy on it. But because of John's, I had much bigger expectations. And again, expectations are on me. But again, when I go read John's, and it's going to be something that plays with continuity and all this other stuff, and then it just kind of makes me remember stuff I didn't like. It makes me sad, and I don't like to feel sad. I'd rather feel nothing than feel sad.
I can help you with that.
Yeah. Sure. Just be dead inside. That's the answer.
Yeah.
Matt, what are you giving Flashpoint Beyond issue 0?
So this is the weird thing, because the art I do feel really is good, even though some of the stuff I don't like what's being drawn because it's just goofy. I'll give it a 6.
Okay. Connor?
It's a 3.
Yeah.
I thought it was terrible.
I mean, I'm agreeing with the 6. I think it's readable. It does feel like a kind of a why does this exist? There's definitely things about it that don't really connect with me. But from a kind of like, let's just see what bullshit they do perspective, I had a few chuckles along the way.